everybody that's here. We're doing we're just continuing Ahavas Yisroel. Last week we were covering it through the realms of Shulchan Aruch, just what the Torah states, how one should behave in Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, and now we're going to the Hasidic realm of it with the Alter Rebbe and the.
Josh, you don't want me to make you the administrator?
That would be nice.
Let's see how to do that. Make host. How much can you bet, please? She's
Okay. So now we're doing chapter 32 of Lessons in Tanya. And I'd like to recommend, unless someone is actually reading, we're going to mute people. So that way the recording sounds better. I'm muting Shia right now. Now, if someone's going to read or whatever, then no problem, you can read. I don't mind everybody contributing how they want to do. Now we're doing, if anybody wants, you can go on Chabad.org. It's almost the same thing. Maybe once in a while they won't have exactly everything that's in the actual book. But we're doing Lessons in Tanya, chapter 32, Lama Beis, and Lama Beis is the gematria of Lev, which is heart. And this is no better way to teach about Ahavas Yisroel than the Alter Rebbe's book. So I'm doing the intro to the chapter right now. And those that are trying to find it, in Lessons in Tanya, it's for the 9th of Adar. In leap year, it's the 23rd day of Adar 1. In the previous chapter, the Alter Rebbe taught that when one is bitterly remorseful over his sorry spiritual state, he must strive for joy by considering the following. True, on account of his body and his animal soul, he is utterly remote from godliness. Yet he has within him a divine soul, veritably a part of God. This soul, in exile within the body and the animal soul, is to be greatly pitied. One should therefore strive constantly to release it from this exile and to return it to its divine source through engaging in the Torah and the mitzvot. Such a return.
Chaim, you have your Zadie diaper bags?
Yeah, for the baby.
Yes. Hey, is you going to be a Rabbi Friedman on Tuesday?
Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk after the class because he's trying to teach. We'll talk after the class.
So such a return will bring one joy, the joy of freedom, the knowledge that the body and the animal soul remain in their unfortunate state should not disturb one's joy on account of his divine soul. For the soul should be infinitely more precious in one's eyes. Okay, so basically, it makes sense. If one views the value of one's soul over the body, then he will truly be able to love his fellow Jew. That's basically what we're trying to say. The last chapter 31 of Tanya was teaching you to prioritize your soul over your body. Now, if every single Jew does that, then every single Jew will be on an equal plane, and it'll be easier to love your fellow Jew. V'hine al yedei kiyum hadvarim hanizkarim le'el lios gufoi nivzeh v'nimam b'ne'nav rak simchasoi tiyeh simchas hanefesh levada. Acting on the advice mentioned above, to view one's body with scorn and contempt, and to find joy in the joy of the soul alone.
I don't think you're recording, by the way. There's no red dot.
I'm recording on YouTube Live.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine.
Hare Zore Derech Yeshara Vikala Lavoy Lide Kiyum Mitzvahs Ve'ahavta L'Reacha Kamoicha Lichol Nefesh Mi Yisroel Lemigadol Ve'ad Katan. It is a direct and easy path toward fulfilling the mitzvah. You shall love your fellow as yourself, with regard to every Jew, both great and small, in spiritual stature. Ki me'achar she'gufoy nimas umesoyav etzloi v'hanefesh v'haruach mi yoidea gedoylason umaylason b'sharshan umekairan be'elokim chayim. Since his body is despised and loathsome, he will not love himself on account of his body more than he loves his fellow. And as for the soul and spirit, the differences between his own soul and that of his fellow surely will not diminish the love between them. For who can know the soul and spirit's greatness and excellence in their source and root, the living God? So one is not going to love someone. One's not going to have a problem with the Ahavas Yisroel when you don't know the actual source and level of someone's soul. Nobody really knows the level of a soul. Maybe the Nasi Derenu, but the leader of the generation isn't going to have a problem with the Ahavas Yisroel. How then can one claim that his soul is superior to his fellows? If he doesn't even know, then how can he even say that his soul is greater than his fellow beings? Bishegam shekulon masi mois ve'av echad lichulana. Furthermore, they are actually all equal, and not only equal, yet separate, but furthermore, they all have one Father, one source, and within their source, they all comprise one entity. See, every single Jew has the same source, the same Father, the same source. The only thing that's different is the body. And if you prioritize the soul over the body, you're not going to have a problem with the Ahavas Yisroel. Someone that does this will have no problem giving tzedakah to their fellow. They're going to be kind to their fellow being. They're not going to do things that they wouldn't like done to them. All the aspects of Ahavas Yisroel, they're all important in their own ways. V'lachein nikru kol Yisrael achim mamash mitzad shoiresh nafsham b'Hashem echad. It is on account of this common root in the one God that all of Israel are called brothers, in the full sense of the word, and not only figuratively, in the sense of relatives, or similar in appearance and the like. Because we all have the same Father, which is Hashem, we're all brothers. Rak shagufim mechulakim. Only the bodies are distinct from each other. That's the only difference. Our physical flesh, which isn't the priority, as was stated previously in the last chapter. This explains how it is at the all possible to demand that one love his fellow as he loves himself. Self-love is innate, natural to man. Love for one's fellow is not. How can a generated love match a natural one? According to the principle stated here, this is readily understood. One Jew need not create a love for another. The love is an inborn characteristic of his soul on account of its root and godliness, which is common to all souls. It is as natural as the love between brothers. So since we all have the same source of Hashem, and we're all brothers in the sense of being created of all having a godly soul, the Alter Rebbe is stating in Chiddush that it's a natural love to have a Ahavas Yisroel, just as it's a natural love to love yourself. Does anybody else want to? I'm unmuting just for a second to see if anybody wants to mute. Not stupid talk, but actual.
And I just want to welcome Rebbetzin Karpov and Mark and Abba and everybody for coming. Shakulov, Shaya, everybody coming to the shiur. Thank you, everybody.
Of course. Thank
All
you.
right.
Yep.
Josh Durkin decided that he wants to do Tanya now. So we're going to focus
Wonderful.
on Tanya.
Actually,
Thank
I'm just. It's not about Tanya this and Tanya that. I'm going through every source that has to do with Ahavas Yisroel. I ordered
Yeah, so-
a book. I ordered a book. It's coming in a week or two. Lessons in and Heichalsu of the Rebbe Rashab. It's like an entire sefer about Ahavas Yisroel.
So we're going to go to different topics about Ahavas Yisrael, basically. That's what we're going to be doing in this year.
Great.
I also have two Chovetz Chaim books about Lashon Hora, because Lashon Hora is probably one of the main things of Ahavas Yisroel. And I'm even gonna go into Shulchan Aruch about certain things here and there. Chapter 30 of Kitzer Shulchan Aruch. I don't know if I'm gonna look into it. I don't know the exact chapter, but I'm pretty sure there's a chapter on Shulchan Aruch about tzedakah. Tzedakah is important. We can do tzedakah on Shulchan Aruch and in Tanya. And there's probably even my Morim on that. And then maybe if somebody wants to, if they have the Sefer, we could do like a more or something. I don't want it to be limited to be one book and one subject. If it relates to Ahavas Yisrael, I want to go into the subject, basically. Anyways, does anybody want to continue where I'm at right now? I'm on chapter 32 of Lessons in Tanya. Well, I'm in the book. I'm not really on the website. I just know I'm on V'lachein Ha'osim Gufam Iker. If anybody's able to follow along. Hey, Abba, are you able to put the screenshot again? Like you did before? The screen share?
What is it?
Oh, man.
It says only the host can share in this meeting. You have to give me permission.
That's what he was asking.
Oh, wait a second. So I have to do screen share.
Send me the link and I'll read if nobody else wants to.
It's Chabad.org, chapter 32 of Lessons in chapter 32 of Tanya.
Okay.
I don't want to waste time trying to find places. I'm going to go forward, and hopefully you guys can find it.
Go for it.
I just know right now I'm on V'lachein Ha'osim Gufam Iker V'nafsham Tefela Efshar Liyos Ahava Ve'achava Amitis Beinehem Ella Hatluya Vidavar Levada. Therefore, there can be no true love and fraternity between those who regard their bodies as primary and their soul secondary, but only a love based on an external factor. And as we all know in the Torah, that any love that is done like this, that's based on an external factor, isn't a true love that will last.
Mm-hmm.
Since the body separates us from each other, whereas the soul is that which binds us together, the greater value one places on his body at the expense of his soul, the more conscious he is of the differences between himself and his fellow. These differences require that he create a love for his fellow. And as said above, a created love can never equal a natural, innate love. Therefore, love between people who consider their bodies as primary important must be only a love based on some external factor, in which case the love is limited to the importance of the motivating factor and destined to endure only as long as that factor is valid. Up to now, the Alter Rebbe has discussed the mitzvah of loving one's fellow on its own merits. He now proceeds to discuss the value of this mitzvah as the basis for all the commandments, thereby elucidating yet further the importance of rejoicing with the joy of all the soul alone. Now he's saying this for all the mitzvahs. Ahavas Yisroel, as we know from, it's even saying this right here in the paragraph. Ahavas Yisroel is like the main mitzvah That's why this chapter 32 of Tanya, which is the gematria of Lev, the heart, is considered the heart of the entire Tanya. The Talmud relates that it was Hillel the elder who authored the well-known statement that Ahavas Yisroel, the love of one's fellow Jew, is the basis of the entire Torah. Hillel had been approached by a Gentile who declared that he wished to convert to Judaism, but only if Hillel would teach him the entire Torah while he stood on one foot. Hillel replied, "What is hateful to you, do not do to your fellow."
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks right. That is the whole Torah. The rest is but commentary. An obvious difficulty presents itself. All mitzvahs fall into either two categories: Bein Adam Lachaveiroi, between man and man, and Bein Adam Lamaklim, between man and God. And I was actually thinking about this. The reason they say this is you can't love Hashem unless you love your fellow Jew, because all of us are the children of Hashem. And if you truly love Hashem, you'll love his children. But I was thinking, what about if you flip that? What if, you have to, in order to love your fellow Jew, you have to love it. You have to love your fellow Jew's father, Hashem. So one that truly loves their fellow Jew will put on tefillin, keep Shabbos, keep kosher, all the other Torah mitzvahs. And last week I mentioned about the campaign of the Rebbe in 1976, that every single mitzvah that we do is like, we're all like one body. And when we do Torah and mitzvahs, every time we do Torah and mitzvahs, we're unified as one. And every time we do Averas, we're doing the opposite. So to truly have Ahavas Yisroel, it's not just being nice and kind to one another. It's also doing the regular Torah mitzvahs, Shabbos, kosher, mitzvah, tefillin, like any other mitzvah, shotness, whatever. So to truly have Ahavas Yisroel, you have to do all the other mitzvahs. So you can't just say, "Oh, I love my fellow Jew," and everything else doesn't matter. Because if you truly love your fellow Jew, you're going to love Hashem. Because every Jew is a son or daughter of Hashem, and they all truly love Hashem. And to truly love your fellow Jew, you have to love Hashem. So three loves have to be equal. You have to love yourself, you have to love your fellow being, and you have to love Hashem. Only when you have those three can you truly complete the Torah. An obvious difficulty presents itself. All mitzvahs fall into either of the two categories. Okay, I just said that. It is readily understood how all the mitzvahs of the former category may be motivated by one's love of his fellow. But how can this love motivate one to fulfill any of the mitzvahs belonging to the latter category? To observe the Shabbos, for example. The Alter Rebbe's answer follows from his previously stated principle that the essence of Ahavas Yisroel lies in giving priority to one's soul rather to his body. This indeed is the basis of the entire Torah, as the Alter Rebbe continues. Now, when you give tzedakah, when you put on tefillin, when you keep Shabbos, you're prioritizing your soul. And if every Jew prioritized their soul, then they would be loving their fellow Jew at the same time. Because the soul is the priority, it's the ikr, it's the most important thing, not the body. Does anybody want to go forward? Mark, Rabbi Peel, Rebbetzin Karpov, anybody else want to go?
I mean, we have, anybody wants to see the papers on the dashboard, you could see it.
Yeah, we're on Vizeh She'amar Hillel.
Hillel Hazakin.
Hillel Hazakin. Anybody want to do that?
Anybody? No.
Anyone?
Aaron, do you want to read something? It's cool if you do it in English.
Realer.
It's okay. I'm trying to listen very well.
All right. V'zehu shelmar Hillel Hazaken al kiyum mitzvah zo. This explains Hillel the Elder's statement concerning the fulfillment of this mitzvah. This is the entire Torah, the rest is but commentary. For the basis, the basis and root purpose of the entire Torah is to elevate and exalt the soul high above the body to Hashem, the source and root of all worlds, and also to draw down the infinite light of the Ein Sof into the community of Israel, as will be explained further, meaning into the fountainhead of the souls of all Israel, so that the one God will reside within Israel, but only insofar as they are one, i.e. united.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
one second.
Next page.
Wait, am I muted right now? Wait, so I gotta go to here.
Who's posting?
Okay,
I think Josh.
I no, I was supposed to do the page. I don't know how to get it like he's doing that. Hey, Alba, we're on Vigam Davka. I'm gonna go forward and while I'm doing that, somebody could switch it to the right page, just so we don't lose time. Veloy kesheyesh peirud chas shalom banashamois dekudsha berichu la sharia bahasar pigim. By this indwelling of the light of the Ein Sof of the community of Israel is impossible if there is disunity between the souls. God forbid. For God does not dwell in an imperfect, fragmented place. Uch shmo she'oimrim baruchenu avinu kulanu kecha be'or panecha. Uch mo'shenis ba'er b'makoim acher ba'arichus. So do we say in our prayers, bless us our Father, all as one, with the light of your countenance, indicating that the light of God's countenance can be revealed only when we are united, all as one, as explained elsewhere at length. Since every Jew... Did you guys go further yet? Hey, Aaron, are you able to do this on your Chabad.org? You're able to share, not really on your phone.
I'm not 100% sure how to do all that on the phone. Sorry.
However, if I look up on Chabad.
Does anybody have a phone? Does anybody else have a phone and like a second device to connect to?
I'm sitting right here with Chabad.org.
When I want to share is I take a
There you
picture of a screenshot everything, and then I just post it when I just keep sharing the screenshot. It's very easy. That's what you should do.
I don't know, I just don't.
Where are you? You're here, right? Where are you? You're here?
I just finished the daily Tanya, technically. Now I'm starting 10th of Adar, 26th of Adar 1 or whatever in the book.
Oh, so you're starting something else now?
No, it's the same chapter. It's the same chapter, but it's like we finished. And we're going
the next part.
Here, can I share? Shaya.
Yeah, you could.
Hey, Mazel Tov, Pierre. You look good, man.
Yeah, man.
Just to maybe review what we said, that so what Hillel Zakin said, that Ahavas Yisroel is.
Who's speaking, Shia right now?
So Shaya,
yeah, Shia.
Everyone else is gonna mute.
It says that Ahavas Yisroel is the whole Torah, and everything else is explanation. I mean, we would have to ask on that. I mean, there's so many different mitzvahs. How do we learn that Ahavas Yisrael is great? But what does it mean that Ahavas Yisrael is the whole Torah and everything else is explanation? Just to review what the Alter Rebbe is saying, he's saying that really this is the way that we had to, in order to keep the Torah. the key is that we take the spiritual, and that we don't concentrate on the material. And that's the lesson of Ahavas Yisrael, that when we're looking just at our own, when we look at our own needs and our own prejudices, then we see in other people, we see like they're strangers from us sometimes, God forbid, and they're so different. But the lesson here is that really this is the whole Torah, because the whole Torah is that we should look at our spiritual goals rather than our material or physical goals. That's
And
what he
Hillel
says.
Zaken is the one who brought it out. He brought the
Exactly.
idea of Behavta come over.
Exactly.
He revealed it.
Exactly. So that's the idea here, is that explains that really Ahavas Yisrael is the whole Torah, because the only way we could do Ahavas Yisrael is if we look at our spiritual source and we see that we're achim mamish, that we're all brothers and sisters as one. That's the only way we can do it, and that's the way we have to keep the entire Torah as well. That when we place the spiritual mandate, the mitzvahs before our material needs, that's when we're able to fulfill the whole Torah. So through Ahavas Yisrael, that's the design for us to keep the entire Torah.
Very nice. Thank you very much, Shia.
Dirk clarifies it.
He put it in a nutshell. Exactly. You have to prioritize the soul, not the
Did we read
body.
Kamo? Where are we holding?
We're holding by Uma Shekasuv.
I think you're on mute.
Now, actually, we're...
Josh, you're on mute.
Where did we leave off?
Yeah.
1 second. You're on mute. How do I unmute? Okay.
Josh, you're on mute, Josh.
Sorry.
You have to go back a little bit because we missed a lot.
No, I didn't really do so much.
Okay, I saw your lips moving, so I figured something was being said.
Yeah, his friend from Zoom went into his room to tell him that it was on mute.
Okay, so we're on the 10th of Adar, the 26th of Adar. Since every Jew has a divine soul, and since the commandment to love one's fellow is based on the essential unity of the souls, it follows that this commandment applies to every Jew without exception. In fact, however, we find the Talmud exhorting us to hate certain fellow Jews. How do we reconcile these apparently contradictory requirements? The Alter Rebbe proceeds to clarify. Oh, and I also want to mention, some people say, oh, it's just a child, they don't know better, they don't have to do this and that because they're only 5 years old. That's not what the Alter Rebbe is stating here. It's saying that every Jew, from the moment you're born, you're a Jew, you have the mitzvah to have Ahavas Yisrael. So you teach a child according to his level and his ways, but he still has that mitzvah of Ahavas Yisrael. And you can't make that as an excuse of age and gender and all that nonsense, because he says every Jew has his mitzvah.
Yeah. Speaking of Jews though, and babies and diapers, this is an explanation. You have a child, and Chaim, you know about this, right? And part of loving that child is to do all the little things, like changing the diaper. That's part of the love. And so all of the 613, every single one is committing to create a more loving environment for each other. So it's all part of that. We just don't know some of the mitzvahs and why that's happening. Some of them it's obvious, like, giving tzedakah to the poor. That's quite obvious but every single mitzvah is like that. We just, so that's why it's all part of the love. It's just like, it's those tasks, those acts are the real love. It's not just the emotion, it's the acts and the doing.
Okay, does anybody want to go more, or you guys want me to continue? I don't mind either way.
I think you're doing a great job. It's your class. You should do it.
Okay. I just don't want to be like dictator. I want it to be like an equal. Everyone has an opportunity to share and contribute. That way everyone can get involved. It seems I learn better when I'm involved, not when someone's just telling me to shut up the whole class,
Yeah.
That's why it's a Ahavas Yisroel, so we can all get involved. Uma shekasuv bagamora shemi sheroi bachaveroi shechata mitzvah lisnoi noisoi vegam loimar liraboy sheyis na ehu. As for the Talmudic statement that if one sees his friend sinning, he should hate him, and he should also relate the fact to his teacher so that he too will hate him. How does this conform with what was said above? Hainu b'chaveroi b'seira u'mitzvos. This applies only to one's companion, one's equal, in the study of Torah and the observance of the mitzvos. By the way, when it says hating someone, it doesn't really mean that you like hate him with all your soul and with all your might. It means you're rebuking him and you're hating his action. It's not physically hating someone. The sinner in question is a Torah observant scholar, but has lapsed in this one instance. In this case, his sin is much more severe than usual, since it is written that even the inadvertent misdeeds of a scholar are as grave as deliberate sins. But even the general assumption of the gravity of his conduct is not sufficient cause to hate him. As the Alter Rebbe continues, yet another condition must first be satisfied. Var kiyem boy mitzvahs hoicheach toichiach es amisecha am sheitcha besleira uve mitzvahs ve'af al pichein loy shav mechetzoy kimoy shechasuv besefer chavedim. He has also fulfilled with the sinner, the injunction, you shall repeatedly rebuke your friend. The word used here for your friend, amisecha, also indicates, as the Torah points out, am sheitcha, he who is on a par with you in the Torah and the mitzvos, who nevertheless has not repented of his sin. It is written in Sefer Charedim. See, that's the other thing. To hate somebody, it's very strong. Like, to be hating somebody, he has to be on the same level as you. So you can't truly exactly hate him because he's not the same level as you. And if you look at the words here, it's still stating the word your friend, which means you're still trying to get him to do tshuva. And if you're still trying to get someone to do tshuva, and you still care about him to return from his ways, you must really not be hating him, but you're actually loving him as your fellow. If you went off the path, you would want someone to save you from jumping off a cliff, and that would be the truest way of loving your fellow. At this point, there's no need to exaggerate the gravity of his sin. It is clearly a deliberate transgression. Avomish. Okay, now for those that are following, it's the 27th of Adar in the actual book. Yeah, we're almost done with the chapter. It's not a long chapter, but it's a very important one. Avo mi she'enoi chaveroi ve'enoi mekaira etzloi. But as to one who is not his companion, his equal in the Torah and the mitzvahs, so that, as our sages say concerning the ignorant in general, even his deliberate transgressions are regarded as inadvertent acts, since he is unaware of the gravity of sin, nor is he on intimate terms with him. Not only is one not enjoined to hate him, on the contrary, he must in fact strive to become
Hand on your badge.
closer to him, as the Alter Rebbe states shortly. Guys, try to mute your microphone, please.
Sorry.
Okay. So, anyways, what I was saying earlier. So, someone that doesn't know what he's doing, basically, and I think they call him a kidnapped baby in English. Someone that inadvertently does sins, but he doesn't know what he's doing. That person, you're supposed to actually strive to come closer to him and get him closer to Torah mitzvahs. Like you would see when I was in Crown Heights anyways. I would see these simple Jews that don't know anything, and a rabbi would come up to him very kindly, especially a Chabad rabbi, and get him to put on tefillin and teach him about Torah mitzvahs and care about him. Rabbi Shvei's son, I saw him going to these really poor Jews early in the morning. He would buy him breakfast, and he would get him to put tefillin on. That's the truest level of Ahavas Yisroel. He doesn't just care about his putting on tefillin, but he cares about his well-being and buys him breakfast. Gets him to say a bracha on the food. That's truly Ahavas Yisroel. To hate such a sinner is surely unjustifiable, since no sin that he commits is considered deliberate. There is also no reason to keep one's distance from him out of fear that he will learn from his evil ways and fulfillment of the exhortation of the mitzvah. Do not fraternize with a wicked man, since he is not on close personal terms with him in any case. Like we all love Stewie over here, wherever he's holding. But, you know, even though he'll say the wildest stuff, we still love him because we're trying to bring him closer to the Torah. Hine azel mar hilel hazokin have mital midav shel aroin ohev shalom v'chule ohev es habariyos umekarvan la Torah. Therefore, on the contrary of the situation, Hillel said, be one of the disciples of Aaron, loving peace and pursuing peace, loving creatures and drawing them near to the Torah. As we can all recall, the difference between Aaron and any other tzaddik passing away, especially Moshe, when Moshe passed away, mainly the men mourned for him. But when Aaron passed away, everybody passed away. Everybody mourned for him. Men, women, children, everybody. Because Aaron brought peace to every single person. He perfected the mitzvah of Ahavas Yisrael. Lo yimar she'af harchoikim mitayras Hashem va'avoidasoi v'lachein nikraim b'shem b'riyos be'elma tzarich lemashchan bechavle avoisois ahava. This usage of the term creatures in reference to human beings means that even those who are far from God's Torah and His service, for which reason they are classified simply as creatures, indicating that the fact that they are God's creations is their sole virtue, even those one must attract with strong cords of love. I guess you could also learn one that's not going to keep Torah and mitzvahs and literally just sits and doesn't have much purpose in his life. God considers him a creature, not a human being, but a creature. But even such a creature, you still have to bring him closer with Ahavas Yisrael. V'chule hai ve'ulai yuchal lekarvan l'sayrav avodas Hashem. Perhaps thereby one will be able, after all, to draw them close to the Torah and the service of God. V'hein laloi hivsid sichar mitzvahs ahavas reim. And even if one fails in this, he has not forfeited the merit of the mitzvah of neighborly love, which he has fulfilled by his efforts in this direction. V'gam hamikoir vim elav v'hoichicham v'loi shavu me'avoy noisehen shemitzvah lis noisam mitzvah le'avavam gam kain. Furthermore, even those whom one is enjoined to hate, for they are close to him, and he has rebuked them, but they still have not repented of their sins. One is obliged to love them too. So it seems to me that you're going to rebuke somebody for acting wicked and he's on the same level as you. Nevertheless, you don't truly hate them. But is it possible to love a person and hate him at the same time? The Halakha Rebbe explains that since the love and the hatred stem from two different causes, they do not conflict. Ushetehen hein emes. Sina mitzad hara shebahem v'ahava mitzad bechinas hatoiv haganuz shebahem. shehu nitzoitz elokus shebesoicham hamechaye nafsham halokis. And both the love and the hatred are truthful emotions in this case, since the hatred is on account of the evil within them, while the love is on account of the good hidden in them, which is the divine spark within them that animates their divine soul. For this spark of godliness is present even in the most wicked of one's fellow Jews. It is merely hidden. Once again, you're loving the fellow Jews, hitting goodness within him, and you're hating the evil that he's displaying when he's doing the Averos. You're hating what he does, but you're loving the soul. You're prioritizing the soul over the body. You're not looking at what he's doing and looking at the body. You're looking at the soul and looking and dissecting the good and the bad and hating what's good and loving. No, you're hating what's bad and loving what's good. One may now be faced with the anomaly of a fellow Jew whom he must both love and hate. But what attitude should he adopt toward the person as a whole who possesses both these aspects of good and evil? When, for example, the sin requests a favor of him, should his hatred dictate his response or his love? The Alter Rebbe goes on to say that one's relationship with the sinner as a whole should be guided by love. By arousing one's compassion for him, one restricts one's own hatred so that it is directed solely at the evil within the sinner, not at the person himself. So you hate what the person does, but you don't hate the person. You love the person, you just hate what he's doing. We all love Stewie. We just don't like what he says sometimes, but we all love him.
Hey, let's not say names.
We all love we all love Reuven, but we don't love the actions he does. That was the point. Yeah, I don't want to get into lust and horror, but I was just trying to explain that we love the people, but we don't love the things they say or do. And we would, like, people upset Rabbi Peel, but he'll still invite him over for Shabbos. Right, Peel? Right, Rabbi? Still have him over for Shabbos. You just hope that they behave themselves. V'gam le'orer rachamim beliboy aleha kihi vivechinas galus b'soichara misitra achra. Hagoyver aleha barshaim. One must also arouse compassion on the divine soul of the sinner. For in the case of the wicked, it is in exile within the evil of the Sitra Achra, which dominates it. So you're having Rahmanas for the person's soul. The soul is captured by the Yetzer Hara, and you feel pity for the Yetzer Tov, and therefore you're showing him even more love. V'harachamonus mivateles hasina umeoireves ha'ahava kanoida mima shekasuv liyakov asher pada es Avraham. Compassion banishes hatred and arouses love, as is known from the verse, Yaakov who redeemed Avraham. Yaakov represents compassion and Avraham chesed. So Yaakov is Tiferes, compassion, and Avraham is Ahava, or chesed and love. When Avraham, love must be redeemed, an example brought out of concealment. It is Yaakov, compassion, that accomplishes this redemption, for as said, compassion banishes hatred and arouses love. V'lo yomar David HaMelech alav hashalom tachlis sina sinesim v'gorme ela al hamimim v'ha epikoresim she'ein lahem chelek be'elohei Yisroel. As the statement
We're talking about the Apikoros. He denies God. He's a denier.
Yeah, we spoke about this in Shulchan Aruch last week. As the statement by David HaMelech, peace upon him. I hate them with a consummate hatred, reserving no love for them whatsoever. This refers only to Jewish heretics and atheists who have no part in the God of Israel. Kidisam Bagmara Reish Perek Tetzayin de Shabbos. As stated in the Talmud beginning of chapter 16 of Tractate Shabbos. Any sinner who is not, however, a heretic must not be hated with a consummate hatred. For the mitzvah of Ahavas Yisroel embraces him as well. And that's the end for today. Does anybody have anything to say about Ahavas Yisroel? Maybe ideas for the next coming weeks?
I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
What what is it? I mean, the last statement that you said. What was the last statement that you said?
He was talking about the atheist.
Yeah. Okay. So, but what about the case of where you have a Jewish idolater? In other words, a Jewish person who knows Yiddishkeit and still chooses to practice a form of idolatry. I mean, to me, that almost seems like the worst, but it's just hard to deal with because it's your own.
Well, we said it. As long as he doesn't deny God, if he sins, as long as he still knows there's a Shem, so then it's fine. Then we still love him.
Okay.
But if he denies the fact that there is a God, the God of that exists, so then you cannot love him. That's what it says.
Yeah.
It's not
isn't idolatry? I mean, isn't idolatry in a sense denying God?
Yeah, but he still believes in God at the end of the day, even though he worships idols.
Yeah.
Well, right now,
could be a problem. It could be a problem. I don't know.
That's one of the things you have to. The reason why I'm asking is because that's one of the things you have to. Right? I mean, idolatry is one of the things you have to take your life over.
So it
correct?
could be. So you're saying it's not like a. So you're saying it's like a heretic if you believe in idol worship. You're a heretic.
If you're doing some type of form of like idolatry that is obviously specifically said you're not allowed to do in the Torah, then sure. Even if you're keeping all the mitzvahs or everything else, if it's something severe like idolatry, I would think. I'm not saying I'm asking this question, but
we're talking about hating the evil within him. We're not necessarily hating his neshama. We love his neshama.
But I said but they could, because it's saying like David HaMelech is literally saying that you're putting those people outside, you have to exile them is basically what he's saying.
Oh, but when we had the state of the Jewish country of Israel, those kind of people we thrown out.
Yeah,
they wouldn't just be shunned.
Also in our time, the idol worship isn't really the same, because usually the idol worship, no offense to anybody that believes this stuff, is Christianity with that whole Trinity stuff, and it's not the same level of idolatry because they still believe in Hashem. They believe in a mixture of that. They believe in a concept called Shittim, which is like if you're Jewish, it's completely 100,000% usher, and if you're not Jewish, it's
the Rambam.
It's questionable. So therefore, I don't know. It's really questionable. And
that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. So you would consider.
I think with Shittim and Yashka, I think a Jew needs to.
Well, that's my point.
The other Jew that's in the Shittim, but hate what he's doing.
I mean, yes, but my point is that if you look at using that as the guideline, you go 2,000 years ago, you have a guideline that the initial followers were Jewish that followed this person, correct? So, these are like, where do you place them? And then if you come to right now to our time, and then you see a group of Jews partaking in the same type of worship of a human being who's a leader in their community, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's the same exact thing. So what do you do with that group of people that's doing that? Are they like the Christians were 2,000 years ago? Do you just totally cut them off and say they're not part of you anymore? Or do you, that's my question. This is a very serious thing.
I think it's too difficult to like, no offense here. I don't think anybody here is like a tzaddik to know where they're holding in their heart, whether they truly deny Hashem or not. So to be on the safe side, you don't want the Avera on you for hating somebody and physically hating them. You should always be warm towards them, but at a distance, I guess. Like, love them, but hate what they do,
Well,
and admonish them. Don't forget to admonish them.
I'm a big believer in already hate the behavior anyway, not the person. I mean, that's my philosophy on life. So obviously,
But I mean,
I'm just saying you have to admonish
them.
this. You have to hate this behavior. That's what I'm saying.
And then the other question is, it says you shouldn't really admonish somebody unless they're at your level, because they could be simple Jews that don't know better, and you could be making things worse. But by showing compassion towards another Jew, they could say, wow, these idol worshippers are not as kind as the Jewish people who still love me, and even though I eat treif and do, etc., etc. And by showing that Jew compassion, he might lose his love for other idol worshippers who only value the body over the soul. And when they see Jews that are loving the soul, no matter how many Averas he does, it's going to cause them to come back to Judaism.
This is exactly. I mean, that's why the 35,000 Israeli Jews have been converted to some form of Christianity. 35,000, because 35,000. So because it's because these evangelicals are going in with these big dollars and they're being nice and they're looking for all of the people on the fringe who are a little bit confused, and they're literally like it's an unbelievable operation.
Because you have to understand, I was in Tel Aviv, I'm sorry, and these guys don't even know anything about Judaism. They're more clueless than Reform Jews.
I know.
Because their parents were so anti-religious, or their indoctrination was so anti-religious. They don't even know what tefillin is. They don't even know what it is. And they live in Israel. They don't even know what a shul looks like. They've never been in a shul in their life. So people like, oh, they're Israeli. They know. They not necessarily.
I know. Of course.
But that's considered an unintentional sin if they don't know what a tefillin is. That's why it's our job to teach them what tefillin and kosher is. It's our job to show them the path, because they don't even know. They're kidnapped babies.
Yep. Yes.
Anybody else?
We just had the head shliach of Montreal over here. Head rabbi of Montreal. Wow, look who's here. We got two people from Montreal. We have Yehuda Menashe and the from Toronto, and now we have a guy from Montreal.
We're learning Perk Lev here.
Leventhal and Levin.
I'll learn about Pesach next week. It's Leventhal.
Leventhal is Lamed Beis, so Leventhal. No, Levin, how's Montreal? Tell us what you're learning over there. What they're teaching you.
I learned a lot of Chassidus, Tanya. I was learning about there's two kings. And they're fighting over the small city. You see which one will rule over the city. So that's like the Nevesh of Ahavas is like the city, and the kings are like the two sides of the heart, the left side and the right side. So the right side is Ahavas Hashem. The left side is whoever person wants to do. So the whole battle is who's going to rule over the city. And if a person has a lot of love for Hashem, then it can rule over the left side, and then he'll subdue his heart to serve Hashem. That's what it means to serve Hashem with the two sides of the heart.
This also applies with the Ahavas Yisroel. Your Yetzer Hora is going to always want to speak Lashon Hora once in a while. There's juicy gossip. He's gonna want to not share. He's going to want to do things just because it's natural, like when you listen to the evil side, to not want to do the right thing. And you have to listen to the Yetzer Tov, and you have to always dominate. This is literally, I don't know, Rabbi of Montreal, which chapter is of this, but I know this is one of the earlier chapters of Tanya as well. Right?
Yeah, I think
right, Rabbi from Montreal?
I think it's Perek Beis.
Yeah, very beginning.
A person has a neshama, and that's part of Hashem literally. And if he uses the neshama, there's no hatred. There's no hatred. Hate is only because of the guf. The body hates. We have you want to go after other people. That's the nature of the body, always trying to fight others and go after others. But the neshama is not like that.
So chapter 31 was saying, and also the beginning of chapter 32 of Tanya was stating that you have to prioritize the soul over the body. And if you prioritize the soul over the body, then there will be no room for hatred.
And the Rebbe actually told people to teach their kids, the first chapter they should teach their kids is Lamed Beis. Isn't that funny? So, like, whenever I put my kids to sleep, I tell them the chapter Lamed Beis by heart, so they should know it. So I sing it in the song. I say, Perek Lamed Beis, V'hinei Yayidei. I sing it every night to them.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Next week, if I don't have the sefer yet, I'm gonna do. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should we do the Shulchan Aruch again and go to chapter 30 about Lashon Hara?
I think you should take pictures of everything you're gonna read, and then post it. Screenshots. Make screenshots of everything and then just post it each time on your computer. You know how to do that?
I don't really have the software for all that right now.
You don't need software. You go to Shiur. You go where it says pictures, and then you post it. It's very simple.
Or what I could do is put it on the WhatsApp group, and they can look at their WhatsApp.
That too. I'm saying it's very easy to do with screenshots.
I think I need a manager for our group, and they have to be in charge of all that stuff, and I'm just going to teach the class.
What about your roommate right there? He's good with computers.
He doesn't know how to do that yet.
I can do that. I just have to figure it out.
So basically what you do is you take a picture of each page you're going to do, and then you go to Share and you press the picture, media, Share media, and then you find all the pictures you did.
So will it work if he sends us the link?
Yeah, that might be easy too.
Well, this only works if it's Chabad.org stuff. Because some of the stuff I'm doing won't be on there. I have Chofetz Chaim for Lashon Hara.
Oh, by the way, if you want to know about Chofetz Chaim Lashon Hara, the rabbi from Montreal wrote a song about Chofetz Chaim and Lashon Hara. So, isn't that funny?
You did a song about Lashon Hara?
Yeah, sing it.
It's the Chofetz Chaim. It's the Chofetz Chaim. It's the Chofetz Chaim. It's the Chofetz Chaim.
It's the Chofetz Chaim. It's the Chofetz Chaim.
It's like
it's a world-renowned song now. It became famous overnight. It's not like big like the other songs, but it's pretty. Got a lot of views on social media.
I don't know. So also, just so everybody knows, one of the biggest. Oh, Aaron. Aaron is bucking this mitzvah. Aaron, tell me something about tzedakah.
Oh, Aaron, you're good with tzedakah?
Aaron gives 20% and doesn't have to. He gives 20% and he gets others to give.
Baruch Hashem. There was this, yeah, wow.
Baruch Hashem, rabbi here in Colorado Springs.
Rabbi Boaz Vituk.
He got me interested immediately, and I haven't had any issues ever since, and I've actually had more. It's it said that Hashem, it's the only mitzvah you're allowed to test Hashem with, and he actually says, please test me, and he will give you back 10 times whatever you give. But it basically says you need to give at least 10%. And as long as you give 10%, he'll make sure you take care of you. But the opposite of that is if you don't give 10% or don't give tzedakah, he'll take 90% and you'll only be left with 10%.
Wow.
Yeah, the Jewish what is it called? The Jewish Wolf of Wall Street. It's a famous guy who is a Baal Tshuva. He got a lot of his Gentile partners to give 10% in order to get deals. He says, you want to get the deal, you first got to give 10%. He got a lot of Gentile guys, and they all make videos saying how after they gave the 10%, they got the deal right away. It went through the whole business deal, whatever. It's funny. This guy makes videos and videos of it. I think it's called the Jewish Wolf. I'll find out. I'll tell you who the guy is. Very famous guy.
Okay.
He has hundreds of thousands of followers.
Just so everybody knows, I'm like in the middle of nowhere, so I don't really have job opportunities, even online jobs, because my internet's very slow. So I made it my occupation to make Chabad of YouTube, and I'm making videos. I'm trying to make more classes. For sure, this class every Sunday on Ahavas Yisroel. But I'm gonna be recording every single day, and
You can check out his YouTube channel. It's Chabad of YouTube. It's very hard to remember, but it's Chabad of YouTube.
it's Chabad of
Chabad.
YouTube. Josh Durkin in parentheses.
Well,
And
there's one other guy who made one video of Chabad of YouTube, but he's not really Chabad of YouTube. The other guy, he just made one video. But Josh has a whole channel.
But if people could help, at the very least, donate to my Chabad house or Rabbi Peel's Chabad house, I can make a little bit of a cut from that, or donate to me specifically to make more videos. This is all I'm doing. I'm making this my occupation to learn Torah and do more of that.
So
If anybody
next time when you do it, post your donation link with the Zoom thing together.
I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that.
I'll show
We
you how
were
to do
going
it.
to do that, but I didn't know exactly how to do it at the time we were talking about it before class.
You could do like a PayPal where people could donate $18 a month and stuff like that. I'll show you a link.
Cash App, Venmo, give them all the links.
Yeah, you could. But you could also have
Which
something where you could
Chabad
donate
rabbi?
every month, monthly.
Rishus Reb Chaim. I
Okay,
heard
so
a very interesting story about tzedakah.
so I'm helping out Rabbi Boaz in Colorado Springs, but I get a very small cut. And if someone wants to help directly just for this channel, I'll have a link for like what do I do? A Cash App, Zelle.
Yeah, we'll set it up for next Sunday. What's it called? Rabbi Leventhal wants to say a quick story about tzedakah, if anybody doesn't mind.
Basically, there was a
This is
person
great.
who had a hard time with his business. It was very hard for him. He wasn't making a lot of money. And he went to the Sephardi Rav and asked him what he should do about his business, not making a lot of money. So the Sephardi Rav said, you give tzedakah, you give meiser. And he said, I do give meiser. So then he said, so why am I not doing well in business then? So he said, how long have you been giving meiser? I only was giving meiser for half a year. So Rav said it has to be at least a full year to give meiser. You just see the brachas. That's the meiser. Then he gave meiser for a full year. And after a full year, he saw it was going better.
Well, I'm a different rabbi. I bless you after a week. After a week, I'll give you meiser. I bless you the same exact blessing. It's 2022, and technology is a little bit faster. So, hopefully after 1 week, you'll get all the guarantees.
Amen. So a lot of times you have questions. We see the brachas. You have to be consistent. That's the lesson.
It is important to be consistent in life. If you're consistent, Hashem is consistent with you.
Hey, Chaim, why don't you put your if somebody has a really good internet by them, I would like them to record it and then WhatsApp it to me, and then I'll put all of Chaim Peel's videos to my YouTube channel. Anyone that has like a really good like Shiur and whatever and fun stuff, you can put to my YouTube channel, Chabad YouTube, and while we're doing Shiur, you could do YouTube live.
Yeah, so on Tuesdays we do Facebook Live, but I could do YouTube Live too because we have a computer at the Rabbi Friedman's house. But I have to get a computer. I had one; it got water damaged by the kids. They poured Negavasa on it because we always have Negavasa all over the house.
Purified. He purified the internet.
So I brought the computer to the technician, and a week later he called me. He said I was busy, so I didn't check it, but it has water damage. I'm like, I know that. You have to do it within 24 hours, but whatever.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Please invite your friends, like, share, and subscribe to my channel.
Subscribe to Chabad of YouTube. Everybody subscribe. He needs many subscribers.
Yeah, because if you just like and subscribe and get people to watch my video, even just doing that, eventually YouTube could pay me. And if they're paying me, who cares?
YouTube pays you for doing nothing. You don't have to do anything except for have subscribers. So
Learn Torah is not nothing.
No. I'm just saying. In YouTube, it's easier to get funding. Other places, you have to get a certain amount of likes, a certain amount of views. But on YouTube, you just need a certain amount of subscribers, which is great.
No, you need both. I think you need both.
No, I think either one.
You just need 1,000 subscribers, and then YouTube will start paying you every time somebody watches your videos.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'm gonna get 1,000.
Oh man, I have 14 subscribers as of now.
I have 11.
Baruch Hashem.
But I have 5,000 subscribers on TikTok, and on Facebook,
Wow.
Hey, Chaim,
4,000.
did you guys see my video I made on Chaim, did you see my video I made on TikTok? It was 2 weeks ago. Accidentally, someone was supposed to pick up my dry cleaning, but he got the timing wrong. So I came to Chabad house in a LeBron James jersey and basketball shorts, all Shabbos.
Yeah, I reposted that video for you.
That was
I got about 4,000 views.
I got 4,000 views on that.
Yes. I actually posted a video this week of Mark sent me a video, and I got 1 million views.
Wow.
You got 1 million views from which one?
The one with the dancing. They all liked it. I don't know. I never got so many views in my life, ever.
Are you serious? That's hilarious.
Almost, not 1 million. It's 956,000, whatever. It's
Rabbi Peel is here. The other Rabbi.
Okay, you know what that means. Do you know what that means? I'll talk to you later, Chaim.
People like Hasidic weddings, I think.
It's not just that. I'll tell you what it is.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
crazy. That doesn't make any sense. That's
that was weird. That was strange. All my other videos get maybe 2,000 or 3,000.
Yeah, people do like that stuff. Don't get me wrong. I know that. I'm telling you, I know because I live out here in the country. Like somebody mentioned to me, I didn't tell you this. Like some evangelical Christian came up to me. He's like, "Oh, those Satmar. Those Satmar? I like them. They're the real ones.
They love it.
That's what they said to me. I was like, yeah.
I'm shocked. I'm like, I make so many good videos, like crazy videos, but they don't like it as much as this. They love the wedding. That's why I said send me another video because I wanted to get a good video.
I like the phone smashing video where the girls gathering together, smashing smartphones like it's a piñata.
Oh yeah. That's very famous, that video.
Or the Jews going crazy because they get to have the first bagels coming out of the oven right after.
Yeah,
Pesach.
but all my successful videos have been like Satmar events. Like every single one of my good videos is like Hasidim. They love it.
I'm trying to find Chabad of YouTube, and it says 25,500,00 results.
No,
that's 25.
No, you gotta go to the channel. You put in Chabad of YouTube channel when you have to go to the channel link. Let me
type what it is. All right. Hey Aaron, how do I type on here?
One second, I'm gonna share it.
We have Chabad, we have Crown Heights, Chabad of YouTube, we have Chabad of Montreal. We're taking over everything.
Mine is Chabad of YouTube in parentheses, JOSHDURKIN parentheses.
All one word?
Everything is spaced like it's proper English, If I know one language, I have to know that one language well.
Yep. Trying to join.
It has a picture of the Rebbe on it. Not a big
So that's the part. And the biggest escafia a person could have to hold himself back is to Ahavas Hashem. Because then, Memela, person Ahavas Hashem, he doesn't even want to do anything besides loving Hashem. He's Mekasher with Hashem. The biggest escafia is through Ava.
I shared the link in the chat if anybody wants to check it out.
By the way, this group reminds me of many years ago. I did my own songs or whatever. I got carried away with it, but I had a genius idea that did last for years. I don't know if it's still there, but in WhatsApp I made a group called Farbringing Worldwide, and in that group we were just Farbringing like nonstop, and we were just like singing songs and davening together. It was like pre-Zoom days. Like it was people were just recording davening and singing and having a good time. It was very fun. Remember that, Rabbi Peel? I don't know if he's still there.
Oh, that's amazing. It's like even better than the Guinness.
But this is better now because we actually all see each other. With WhatsApp, everything was just going nuts. Everyone was trying to share at the same time, and you can't listen and speak at the same time. This has a little more seder. People have to mute. They have to speak when it's appropriate. It makes more sense. In fact, Rabbi gets mad at me on Shabbos because there's no mute button. There's no mute button in real life, and if I go to a live shiur, he can't just mute me. He's like, raise your hand, so I'm raising my hand and talking, and he's like, that doesn't work. But on Zoom,
That's how we bring Mashiach.
what?
We spread the Torah, bring Mashiach like that. Through Shiurim.
Well, there's actually
It says there are no results for Chabad of YouTube, in parentheses, Josh Durkin. What am I going to do?
Durkin.
I know.
Okay.
Somebody send me the link. I want to post it and forward
Rabbi
the thing.
Kapov, the
Yeah?
I linked the link for his channel in the chat on Zoom,
Thank
so
you.
it's easier for you. Yeah.
There you go. Okay. Good. Great. Thank you. Wonderful. I'm subscribed. Hooray.
So,
There you are. Thank you so much.
Yeah, nobody's really watching my Chofetz Chaim stuff, but I think there's amazing stuff to learn from Chofetz Chaim. Just because it's not Lubavitch doesn't really mean that it's not so great, because if you would learn how grave the sin of Lashon Hora is, you would see, you wouldn't ever do it, and you'd save yourself 20 of errors with 5 words that you're speaking. Like, look what happened to Miriam in the last parsha in Baalutcha. She was actually speaking L'Shem Shemayim, worried about the women being separated from their husbands. She wasn't trying to speak Lashon Hora. She was trying to confront a problem. But because she was at such a level, and it could be perceived as Lashon Hora, she had saras. This Parsha Shalach, with the spies, you see they send a bad report, and all of the Jews are punished that we can't go to Israel. Like it delayed Mashiach from coming. And many people died from Lashon Hora. Next week, we see in Parshas Korach, Korach speaking Lashon Hora about the Nasi Derenu, and he's swallowed up into the earth. Like, Lashon Hora is very bad, and it follows in the category of Ahavas Yisroel. But when you learn Chofetz Chaim, you're going to find 20 different categories that teach you not to do this. That's why I really want to get it. I want to really learn this, but not do too much in one area. Chofetz Chaim has a whole book about Lashon Hora, and the Rebbe Rashab has an entire sefer about Ahavas Yisroel in general, not a chapter like Tanya. So it's pretty amazing. And the Tzemach Tzedek and Derech Mitzvah Sechta also has Ahavas Yisroel. There's so many topics. I mean, so many different sources of Ahavas Yisroel. And I have no idea about the Gedolim with the Gemara about Ahavas Yisroel. I'm pretty sure those that are Talmud Chachamim, if you guys are welcome to take out pages of the Gemara that mentions Ahavas Yisroel and bring that up too, because if Ahavas Yisroel is the most important mitzvah, it's very... I have a real question, or many have a real question. They say, Keneged Kulam... They say Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam, and then they say Ahavas Yisroel is the main mitzvah, and then there's even tzedakah. So how could you say that one mitzvah is the most important mitzvah when all three of them are different mitzvahs? And I really don't understand about tzedakah if tzedakah is just part of Ahavas Yisroel. Like if tzedakah is part of Ahavas Yisroel, I think it's nullified to Ahavas Yisroel, and then the question would still remain: what's more important out of Ahavas Yisroel and learning Torah? And if you think about it, how would one even know to have Ahavas Yisroel if they didn't learn it from the Torah to begin with? Because without Torah, one won't come into deeds. But without deeds, then the whole purpose of the Torah isn't fulfilled. And the problem with in Parshas Shalach this week is all the Jews wanted to stay in the desert and learn Torah nonstop. No deeds, just sit there and learn the Torah. But the whole purpose is for us to get out of the desert, go into the world, do Torah mitzvahs, make a dwelling place, and build the base of mikdash with all the sparks we elevate from Torah mitzvahs. So the main way to do most of the mitzvahs is Ahavas Yisroel, because that's like a lot of the mitzvahs. And then you have to do Torah, you have to learn Torah to know the mitzvahs. So, I don't know, does anybody else have anything to say about this?
Yeah, I am trying to post it for you, Josh, and get other people to Yeah, I was told that the Minim were the sectarians and the Apicorsim were like the Epicureans. They're like the Reformed Jews.
See, the thing about the Reformed Jews is a lot of them are actually really Jews. And you can't truly hate them because they don't know. They're literally on the level of Am Haaretzim. And because they don't know better, then you should really have pity on their soul and guide them. But at the same time, we are forbidden as Jews to go to Reform synagogues because their leaders are saying that we don't have to keep the whole Torah mitzvahs. And that's heresy. So, you still love the Reformed Jews, just you don't have to go to their houses of worship. In fact, go to those Reformed Jews that are truly Jewish and get them to go to a Chabad house or an authentic Jewish worshiping center, Satmar, Bells, Litfish, whatever is Orthodox, and get them to go to a real synagogue and teach them how to keep Torah, mitzvahs, and Shabbos and everything. Like we said in this chapter, you love your fellow Jew, you just hate the action that they made. You just hate evil and the actions a person does. But can you really hate the Reformed Jews? They don't know what they're doing. They were led astray by other people that also didn't know what they were doing. In our day and generation, a lot of the Jews don't know what they're doing, so you can't truly hate them. You should really feel pity and sorry for them and love them. And a good way to do this is when a Jew is suffering and needs tzedakah, you give him food, not just give him Torah and mitzvahs to do, but you invite him over for Shabbos. You help him get a job, help him with his resume. You help an old lady cross the street. You show chesed. You show kindness. And when they see all this love, they're not going to be able to handle it, and they're going to do tshuva. They're going to realize that there's no other love besides the love that a Jew naturally feels towards another Jew. Abba, do you have anything to say about our class today?
No.
Shakula, do you have anything to say about Ahavas Yisroel? YMG. Menachem Mordechai, you have anything to say about Ahavas Yisroel?
I mean, I think, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, I think that it's just, I mean, this is really obviously the key to completing the job. I mean, this is why we lost it. This is why we get it back. So, but I think that we have to really realize how profound this really is, to love every Jew, to love every single descendant along the mother's line from Sinai. That's a task that we have to really take seriously. There's a lot of sparks out there that have to be found, and we have ways of doing it now. So this is all part of it, you know? And the Rebbe started this. He sent it around. He got people talking about Noahide, and now there's a lot of miracles happening in places. You're in one of those places, Josh, by the way. Colorado is a big place for this. So, but we have to realize that those are real sparks out there, pure sparks. And a lot of the things that you were talking about tonight, like what did you say when it's considered a captured soul? Was it a Jew that doesn't know any better? Exactly. Yes. So this is where you have to understand that we're dealing with millions of them out there, millions and millions.
But if you look at the Lashon,
yeah,
he doesn't say love your fellow Jew as yourself. It says love your fellow as yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself, which means if you would love your fellow non-Jewish person, meaning you love the soul, because even they have a soul, and if you love their soul, and you treat them with respect and goodness and kindness, you could get them to follow the 7 laws of Noah, or they on their own will realize that they were meant to be Jewish and convert on their own terms. So So, and the Rambam says you should give them tzedakah as well if you could, because that can make peace in the world. And last thing we want is another war to stir about.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, forcing somebody into something and going out and saying like you're a part of this because this is your heritage are two different things. And one of the things, if you look at like at the end of our morning chakras every day, what do we read? The 6 remembrances. I think that, you reflect on the ordering of that. I think that's an ordering of importance. I mean, it's right there. It says these are the things, and what I believe it's the third thing. It says about a malach. What's a malach all about? It's all about those that were on the fringe, those that didn't, that were right on the fringe. They were still. That's what it is. And obviously, the Rebbe talks about that being also that we have to worry about that inside. That it's us are doubting ourselves, and it's our doubt. True, but at the same time, there's also the fact that we have all these Jewish neshamas out there who are on the fringe, okay? And we have to get them. That's our responsibility. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu did. That every time Hashem confronted Moshe and said, you can get rid of these people, Moshe Rabbeinu said, no, I want to keep them. I want them to be a part of us. That's what Hashem wants. He wants us to say, I want every human being to be a part of us, and really mean it in our hearts. You want them to make that decision. You don't want to force them to make the decision, God forbid. But you want them to want to make that decision, to want to love so much. And that's what the prophecy says, where 10 are going to grab the shirt of a Jew. What do you think this is talking about? They're literally going to start grabbing and saying, we know what everything you were saying was right. We're right there. I mean, some of the conversations I'm having with scientists and Tanya right now, I mean, I'm telling you, like right there where we can actually go to these scientists and say, see, all along we told you that the world was made of divine speech. But here we're actually showing you that here it is. Here's the 22 letters, and they're the ones who are triggering the strings. Okay, that is the primary cause of all existence, is these initial speech of waves.
The 10 utterances.
Okay, the 10 utterances. Of course, this happened in real time. But what I'm saying is that they're caused by the actual letters themselves. That the way we shape the letters and make the sounds, and what that does in those wave patterns are the exact wave patterns that are creating the reality around us. Okay.
Does anybody know which thing in Tanya it is? I think it has to. It didn't go through this entire chapter, but it's very relevant to Ahavas Yisroel.
Yeah.
And that is called the water reflects the face. So
Water what?
the water reflects the face. That means when you arouse a compassion towards your fellow, it's gonna be like when you look at water and you see your reflection coming back at you.
Mm-hmm.
You arouse compassion. It's going to cause your neighbor to have compassion towards you, and love's going to bounce back and forth. But if you hold hatred and anger towards your fellow, it's going to do a chas v'sholom in the opposite. I don't remember where it is in Tanya, but that's something else to consider about Ahavas Yisroel. Because if you're going to show them compassion and empathy, then it's going to cause them, and it's going to make a chain reaction, and that could really cause Mashiach to come. I see this with children. I see this with goyim. I see it all the time.
Yeah, you see it with the fact that Haim just posted a Satmar video and it got 900 and something thousand views.
How many?
900, over 900,000. All his other videos were like at 3,000. I just sent him a small video from the wedding I was at.
Wow.
That's crazy. Just a short little clip. Amazing,
Maybe people are partly moved that
I have another big one coming up.
Talking to each other.
I have another. Haim, I have another. I don't know if he's still here. I have another big one coming up. Okay,
Send me the clip of the video that got so many views. I want to check that.
Yeah, and not this Wednesday coming, but the following Wednesday, I'm going to a wedding, God willing.
Oh, I'm happy for you.
In Williamsburg, and it's going to be.
Hmm.
I know I'm getting married. I know that's where my wedding's going to be. My wedding's going to be in Williamsburg for sure.
Williamsburg.
Why would you say that?
Because I love their wedding halls. That's what all the Lubavitchers are doing. A lot of them are doing that now. Because Williamsburg has all these great wedding halls, so they can still have the. You can still have the.
Zag and Holy Torah.
No.
All right, look. Do you have that clip? Do you have the link to that big video he sent?
Do I have the link?
Was it on Facebook? What's it on?
No, I sent it to him. I just regular.
I want to see where it got, which media it got that many hits. I want to watch it.
I'm gonna say.
I want to see the proof.
Okay, let's see. Time.
Come on, it's Rabbi Peel. He's probably one of the only few guys I could see getting views that like that.
All right, let's see.
So flipping tired.
Where did I send it to him on? Is a question.
Not the one from you. I want the one that he posted.
Yeah, I'm the one. He posted the one I sent him.
I know, but the thing is not that I want to see the video. I want to see the number of views.
Oh, I don't have that because I don't do TikTok. I'm sorry, I don't allow the Chinese to listen to everything I say all day long because they've been busted about I don't know how many times. Apple even complained about it. Okay, like it's like unbelievable that anybody would even go on that network. Okay.
Hey, Aaron, can I get another like 15 minutes?
Okay, well, I'm gonna check out. I'm kind of beat.
Anyway,
I'm
if I do anything in business, it's gonna include only people that would never go to TikTok. I'm gonna market to only those people, and there's so many of those people out there, and they all have the money.
That's me. I don't do TikTok. I
don't. It's funny. I have watched myself not get on there.
I don't do any social media except for YouTube and Zooms to spread Torah classes. That's it.
I mean, I'll use Instagram and Facebook because that's American and Zuckerberg. Even though I don't agree with him politically, I still think he's a good person. I don't think he's like, I don't think you have to worry about a guy that when he's a billionaire and takes his first trip to Europe decides to go to a McDonald's.
Okay.
I mean, he was like all over the news. They obviously are following this big young billionaire around, the Facebook, guy. I mean, he's huge. When he was first like so big, Facebook's everywhere, and he takes his first trip with his wife or fiance, I forget at the time, and they went to like Italy, and they went and they ate at McDonald's.
Which tells you what?
I don't know. It's just funny. It tells me that he's just like, I could care less about your sophistication and your nonsense. Yes, I'm an American and we make cooler stuff than you now. You're all using Facebook. Thank you very much. Which is true. They're all using Facebook and everybody wants to always switch, but nobody does because at the end of the day, it's just such a hassle to get everybody to go at one time. So it starts to happen slowly, but then they have they've been able to sort of stay ahead of the curve. You're comfortable with them. Anyway, they make things easier now that it's hard for everybody else to do translations and all that stuff. They're very sophisticated now. It's hard to just break into that field. It used to be very easy, but now the data is so sophisticated. It's not so easy. I think if I had a meeting, I feel like if I had a meeting with Google that I could develop something that would take over. Because Google tried it once, it was terrible. But they have the data and everything, they could do it immediately, I should try it out. Actually, I should pitch that idea. I have contacts. Yeah, that's a good idea. All right.
Yeah, I got an Aliyah this week, Baruch Hashem. I got the third Aliyah, and the rabbi gave me a bracha to keep being a shliach of the Rebbe.
Baruch Hashem.
Baruch Hashem, that's great.
But I'm trying to move to a Jewish area because there's not really any Orthodox synagogues by me, and I'm waiting to get funds to move with the locksmith. We're waiting for an apartment, a 2-bedroom apartment to open up. He's living on my friend's couch, I have to sleep in a comfortable bed because of my health conditions. I have a bad case
Understood.
of sleep apnea, diabetes, and whatever, and I gotta sleep properly.
You need to start taking cinnamon every
Huh?
day. You need to start taking large doses of cinnamon every day to regulate your blood sugar naturally.
Mm.
Okay? You have to do it. It's cheap. Just buy a big thing of cinnamon, take a spoonful in the morning, spoonful at night. It tastes good, or you can put a big thing in your coffee. That's what I do. It's good for you. I'm telling you. It's one of the best regulators of blood sugar.
With that
You can still take you can still take all your other medicines and everything. There's no interference. It just helps you regulate, so you don't need as much of them. That's all. So you still have to go to your doctor, huh?
It might prevent me from needing insulin.
That's what it does. That's what it does. You'll actually, when you start to test your blood, you'll find that try it for like a couple weeks because it takes a little time, but just it's so cheap to do too because you just buy go to like a Costco. There's always a kosher Uhexer on.
Well, I can just mix it with water.
You gotta watch out. You don't want to take cinnamon totally dry. You gotta mix it with something like put it in milk in your coffee or something like that. It's better.
I don't really drink coffee.
What do you drink? Like, what do you drink in the morning?
I drink water, or I have a.
Yeah, then just put a little in water, stir it up. But remember, it doesn't dissolve, so you just got to do it quickly and write down.
I also have I know it's not so great, but it's this stuff called Milo. It has like vitamins in it, but it's sugar free.
Yeah, that stuff is good. Vitamins are good and everything. Just specifically like cinnamon, and it has to be like not a little bit, like a spoonful. So you can just mix it in water, boom, swig it down. It tastes good. It gives you good breath. It makes your breath better all day because it goes down into your stomach, and so like even your breath is better. So it's a lot of positives to it.
Hey, Brett. Benjamin.
All right, I will see everyone. Have a great night. All right, I didn't realize the time it is. I'll see everyone. See you. It was good to see you, Rabbi.
Happy Father's Day.
Thank you so much
too.
again.
Happy Father's Day.
Good night.
Thank you. For what?
Happy.
How you
Thank
doing,
everybody
Brett?
for coming to the group. I appreciate it.
No, you're terrific. You're doing a great job.